A boy missing for 12 years knocks on his family's door, soaking wet, holding a green flag, and the chilling statement, "She said you didn't want me." Who kidnapped the boy? What secrets are revealed in the shadows of Salem? This fictional story is based on real cases, both educational and suspenseful. Stay tuned, each twist will draw you in. Like, subscribe, comment, and share to uncover the mystery. Tell us, what would you do if your past knocked on your door? Don't miss the truth buried in the dark. Comment where you're watching the video. Where do we start? Rain hammered Salem, Oregon, like it was trying to drown the whole damn town. It was 11:47 at night, and the storm hadn't let up for hours. Not the soft, poetic kind of rain that taps politely on windows. This was a brutal, bone-chilling downpour, smearing streetlights into streaks of gold and blurring Pinewood Lane into a gray haze. The air reeked of wet asphalt and pine, sharp and heavy, like the earth was sweating out its secrets. Most of the neighborhood was dead asleep, tucked into their craftsman bungalows, oblivious to the flickering street lamp outside number 1427. A figure stood on the porch, soaked to the skin, hoodie clinging to his lean frame like a second shadow. He was young, maybe 18, with a backpack so worn it looked like it might disintegrate. His hands, trembling, clutched the straps. He stared at the door, its faded green paint peeling under the porch light's weak glow. Wind chimes clinked faintly, their brass shapes swaying like ghosts caught in the gale. The security camera above the door glitched, dropping exactly 17 seconds of footage, just enough for him to slip through unseen. Inside, Laura Bennett stirred. She hadn't slept right in 12 years, not since her son Ethan vanished at 6. Her eyes snapped open, heart pounding, though she didn't know why. The house creaked, old wood groaning under the storm's weight. She reached for her water glass empty. Downstairs, the figure raised a fist and knocked 3 times, each thump sharp, deliberate. The door cracked open, chain lock taut, and Laura's pale face appeared, framed by graying hair. Her breath caught as she saw him, eyes wide, like she'd seen a ghost. "Who are you?" she whispered, voice cracking. The boy's gaze was steady, too old for his face. "I think I used to live here," he said, voice rough, like he hadn't spoken in days. Laura's knees buckled. She gripped the doorframe, world spinning. "Ethan?" she choked out. He didn't answer, just shifted his backpack. A scrap of paper peeked out, scribbled with EC 43 in faded ink. Something green and tattered, a tiny flag stuck out from his pocket, barely noticeable in the dim light. "Who sent you?" Laura's voice trembled, half hope, half dread. He hesitated, then said, "She told me you didn't want me." Laura's face drained of color. Her mouth opened, but no words came. She slid to the floor, consciousness slipping like the rain down the windows. The boy stood there, unmoving, as the storm roared on. Somewhere in the house, a clock ticked too loudly, counting seconds that felt like years. What had brought him back, and what had kept him away for 12 long winters? Morning crept into the Bennett kitchen, weak sunlight slicing through checkered curtains. The air smelled of burnt coffee and damp wood, the storm's ghost lingering in Salem's quiet. Laura fumbled with a chipped mug, hands shaking as she poured coffee she wouldn't drink. Her eyes darted to the boy Ethan, maybe sitting at the oak table, avoiding the small mirror on the wall. His hoodie, still damp, hung over a chair, revealing a faded t-shirt and that worn backpack, its strap frayed like a lifeline unraveling. Daniel Harper burst through the back door, his old leather jacket creaking, face rough from a sleepless night. 12 years hadn't been kind. His eyes carried the weight of a man who'd lost everything. "You remember the treehouse?" Daniel asked, voice low, testing. He leaned against the counter, knuckles white. "The one I built out back?" The boy's gaze flicked up, distant. "It had a green flag," he said, slow, like pulling thorns from skin. "But I don't know if it was mine." Laura's mug clattered in the sink. "You love that camera," she said, too fast, voice brittle. "That plastic Fisher, price. You took it everywhere, Ethan." He didn't look at her. "Someone else gave it to me," he said, flat, final. His fingers brushed the backpack, where a brass pendant gleamed, etched with MV. A tiny green flag, no bigger than a napkin, poked from his pocket. Who's someone else? Daniel's voice sharpened, a blade unsheathed. A woman. Her voice was rough, like she smoked. Sang old Billie Holiday songs. Drove a red Ford, rusted out. The boy's words hung heavy, each one a stone dropped into still water. Laura's face paled. You're saying someone took you? Her voice cracked, desperate for an answer that wouldn't break her. He didn't reply, just stared at the table, tracing its grain with a finger. The doorbell buzzed, shrill and sudden. Laura flinched. Daniel opened it to find Eleanor Price, the neighbor, her gray hair wild, eyes sharp despite her 70 years. Saw a red truck last night, she said, voice low, like she was spilling a secret. Parked across the street, just sitting there, empty. But I heard singing, a woman's voice, through the fog. Daniel's jaw tightened. You sure? Clear as day, Eleanor said, then shuffled off, leaving the air colder. The boy stood abruptly, pointing to the backyard through the window. There's something buried out there, he said, voice hollow. I can feel it. Laura and Daniel turned, staring at the overgrown yard, where an old oak stump rotted under the morning mist. The green flag in his pocket seemed to pulse, a silent scream. What was out there, and why did his words feel like a warning? The Tillamook house squatted at the edge of a forgotten dirt road, shrouded by pines and fog that clung like a curse. It was noon, but the sky over Oregon's coast felt bruised, heavy with secrets. Detective Sarah Coleman, her boots crunching gravel, led Ethan and Daniel to the abandoned two-story, its white siding peeling like dead skin. Sarah, a private investigator with a chipped tooth and a past she didn't talk about, had been chasing ghosts since a kid she couldn't save vanished 15 years ago. Ethan, silent, gripped his backpack, the brass pendant marked MV glinting faintly. Daniel's eyes scanned the house, his old marine instincts twitching. You said she called you Caleb, Sarah said, voice steady but sharp, like she was cutting through fog. What else did she call you? Ethan's gaze drifted to a blackened window. Sometimes her boy. Said my real mom was a ghost. His words landed like a punch. Daniel's fists clenched. That's a damn lie. He barked, voice cracking like dry wood. Ethan turned, eyes cold. Then why do I remember you leaving me? Sarah pushed open the creaking door, revealing a gutted interior, rotting curtains, dust thick as snow, and a stench of mildew and oil. Stay close, she said, flashlight cutting through the gloom. Ethan pointed to a padlocked door at the hall's end. There, he whispered, like he'd seen it in a nightmare. Sarah picked the lock with a hairpin, her hand steady despite the chill. The door groaned open, revealing stairs to a basement. The air down there was thick, coppery, like blood left to dry. Boxes lined the walls, labeled EC, Year 2, EC, Year 5. Ethan's breath hitched as he opened one. Crayon drawings of an oak tree, a green flag, a house in flames. Sarah found a cassette player, pressed play. A woman's voice, Margaret Voss, crackled. He's smarter than the others, he'll figure it out. Daniel's face drained. What the hell is this? Sarah didn't answer, her eyes locked on Ethan, who clutched a drawing, knuckles white. A phone buzzed. Ryan Keller, a local reporter and Ethan's old schoolmate, texting Sarah, found records. 5 kids missing in Oregon, 2005 to 2015, all linked to a red truck. Be careful. Footsteps echoed above, heavy, deliberate. Sarah killed the flashlight, her hand on her holster. Someone's here, she hissed. They climbed the stairs, hearts pounding, only to find the front door swinging open, a cold breeze slithering through. On the floor lay a brass pendant, identical to Ethan's, still warm, like it had just been torn off someone's neck. Ethan froze, his voice a whisper. She's watching us. Who was she? And what did she want with him now? Back in Salem, Sarah's cramped office buzzed under flickering fluorescent lights, the kind that made your skin crawl. It was late afternoon, the sky outside a sullen gray, heavy with Oregon's endless drizzle. Ethan sat hunched over a coated journal from the Tillamook house, its pages filled with Margaret Voss's jagged handwriting. His fingers traced cryptic symbols, stirring memories of a dim room, a clacking typewriter, and a girl's voice singing through thin walls. Laura and Daniel stood by the door, their silence brittle, like glass ready to shatter. "You met her, didn't you?" Ethan's voice cut sharp, eyes locked on Laura. "Before I was gone." Laura's face went ashen, her hands twisting a dish towel. "I was breaking, Ethan," she whispered. "I didn't know she'd keep you." Daniel spun, his leather jacket creaking. "You knew her?" "Laura, what the hell did you do?" Ethan's gaze hardened. "She said you both wanted me gone." Sarah slid a yellow document across her desk, dated 2012. "County records," she said, voice low. Laura co-owned a house in Willamette Valley with Margaret Voss. 8 months. A grainy photo followed. Ethan's 5th birthday. Margaret in the background, smiling, holding a cake with 2 perfect icing. Laura's knees buckled. "I was desperate," she choked. "I thought it was temporary. A week, maybe 2. "You gave me away," Ethan said, not a question, a blade. Daniel's voice broke. "Laura, how could you?" Sarah's phone pinged. Ryan Keller, the reporter, sent a scanned file. Tillamook Mental Hospital, 1990s. Margaret, a nurse, linked to experimental child therapy, records half destroyed. Another text followed, "Got a threat. Stop digging, or you're next. Watch your back." Ethan flipped the journal, landing on a page. "The mother begged me to take him," the father knew. His breath caught. He turned to Daniel. "Did you know, Dad?" Daniel's fists clenched, eyes red, but he said nothing, the silence louder than a scream. A memory flashed in Ethan's mind. Margaret's voice, smoky, singing, stormy weather, a red truck rumbling, a locked door. He saw a girl's shadow through a crack, humming, gone when he blinked. There was someone else, he muttered. A girl. Singing. Sarah leaned in. "What girl?" "I don't know." She was locked away, like me. Outside, tires crunched gravel. Sarah peered through the blinds, nothing but mist. Her hand grazed her holster. "Stay here," she said, stepping out. Moments later, she returned, holding a green flag, identical to Ethan's, left on her car's hood. It was damp, fresh, like someone had just been there. Ethan's voice trembled. "She's not done with me." The journal slipped from his hands, pages splaying open to a single line. "He'll come back, but he'll bring the truth with him." What truth? And who was waiting for it? Dusk bled over Salem, painting the sky a sickly purple. Ethan stood alone in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts, its rusted beams groaning under the weight of secrets. The air stank of oil and decay, a single bulb swinging overhead, casting jagged shadows. The number 43 from his backpack burned in his mind, leading him here, to this forgotten husk off a gravel road. His boots crunched on broken glass as he clutched Margaret's coded journal, its pages whispering of a red truck and a girl's lullaby. He dialed a number etched in his memory, hands trembling. The line crackled, then her voice, Margaret Voss, smoky, unshaken. "Caleb," she purred. "You found me." "My name's Ethan," he snapped, voice raw. "You stole my life." "I saved you from them," she said, calm as a snake. "They're the monsters." "And then why am I the one running?" he shouted, words echoing off the walls. A faint hum drifted through the warehouse. A girl's voice, soft, eerie, singing, "You are my sunshine." Ethan froze, heart hammering. The sound came from nowhere, everywhere. He spun, seeing only shadows. His phone dropped, Margaret's laugh fading into static. Sarah and Ryan burst in, faces taut. "We got jumped," Sarah said, her jacket torn. "Someone's tailing us." Ryan held up a crumpled list, names of kids, Ethan's among them, and one marked, Lila, returned. A green flag, like Ethan's, lay folded inside, stained with dirt. Ethan led them to a rusted locker, number 43. Inside, old VHS tapes, labeled with dates, showed him at 4, playing in the Salem yard, filmed from a stranger's lens. Another tape caught his breath. A girl, maybe 8, singing in a locked room, her face blurred. Margaret's journal, tucked beneath, read, "I built a family. They didn't deserve them." "Who's Lila?" Ethan asked, voice shaking. Sarah's eyes darkened. "Another kid, maybe. Like you." Ryan's phone buzzed a new threat. "Leave the warehouse, or she burns." He cursed, eyes wide. "We gotta move." Ethan ignored him, prying open a floorboard. Beneath, a box held photos, drawings, a doll with a singed dress. One photo showed the girl, Lila, holding a green flag, eyes hollow, a note in Margaret's scrawl. "They all come back, but never whole." The singing stopped. Footsteps thudded above, heavy, deliberate. Sarah drew her gun, motioning for silence. Ethan's gaze locked on a cracked mirror in the corner. For a split second, a girl's reflection stared back pale, unblinking then vanished. He stumbled, heart in his throat. "She's here," he whispered. The footsteps stopped. A green flag fluttered to the floor from the rafters, fresh, as if just placed. Who was Lila, and why was she calling him back? Twilight choked Salem, Oregon, the sky a bruised smear as Ethan stepped into the Bennett house, the air thick with unspoken truths. The oak stump in the backyard loomed through the window, a green flag stabbed into its rot like a wound. Laura stood in the kitchen, hands twisting a rag, eyes hollow. Daniel leaned against the counter, his leather jacket slung over a chair, looking 10 years older. A new bench sat where the treehouse once stood, a silent offering. Ethan's backpack, heavy with Margaret's journal, hit the floor with a thud. "You broke me," Ethan said to Laura, voice low, cutting. "But I'm not your excuse." Laura's eyes welled. "I'd give my life to undo it," she whispered, voice cracking like thin ice. Daniel stepped forward, hands open. "We build something new, Ethan, together." "Maybe," Ethan said, cold. "But not yet." Sarah mailed him Margaret's final letter, unopened until now. Ethan tore it free, words scrawled in frantic ink. "I thought I was your savior, but I became your shadow. Forgive me, or don't. Just see yourself." He lit a match, watched the paper curl into ash, embers rising like ghosts in the backyard fire pit. The green flag fluttered, a taunt from the dark. Ryan's email pinged later, a news clip from Tillamook. A girl, Lila, 7, found wandering with a green flag, eyes vacant, muttering about a singing lady. Ethan's chest tightened. He saw her in the warehouse mirror, her pale face flickering like a bad signal. Was she real, or another of Margaret's games? He grabbed his old Fisher-Price camera, cracked but whole, and headed for the woods behind the old school, where he'd vanished 12 years ago. The path was overgrown, pine needles crunching underfoot. He stopped at a crooked oak, initials carved in its bark. The camera felt heavy, useless, but he held it tight. A breeze carried a faint hum, Lila's song, or his mind breaking. He sat, listening to the wind, no screams, no Margaret, just silence. Back home, Daniel sat on the bench, staring at the flag. Laura was in therapy now, 3 times a week, leaving tea on Ethan's table without a word. She gifted him a new green flag, sewn tight, left wrapped in newspaper. Ethan kept it, not for her, but for him. Dr. Emily Ward, a trauma psychologist, later said, "Cases like Ethan's scar everyone, victim, family, even the truth. Healing means facing the dark, not erasing it." Over 460,000 kids go missing yearly in America, per the FBI. Watch for those offering help in shadows. Ethan stood on the path, camera in hand, staring into the forest. Lila was out there. Another flag, another truth. A soft knock 3 times echoed from the house. No one was there. Only wind, and a question. Could he chase the dark, or would it chase him?